Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much for Shlomo for hosting us, for having this nice event. I'll speak briefly before Rabbi Moshe will continue. I'll just say a little idea about the next week. We should start with that. The next week there will be the day of passing of Alter Rebbe, Admor HaZaken, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Vladi. He was the founder of Hasidut Chabad, and we just want to observe one little idea from what he said, something that hopefully each one of us can take and do something within his life. So, if I'll ask myself, what was the Alter Rebbe's greatest innovation? So obviously, most of you, at least you've heard the name Sefer HaTanya. And Sefer HaTanya it has another name, and the second name, it's the Book of Intermediates. This is what it's called. And what are these intermediates? Who are these intermediates? So, Alter Rebbe, when he speaks about, he wants to give us a guidance for us serving God. This is the main idea of his book. But during the process of explaining how to serve God, so he should explain, and this is what he's doing, he's explaining what's our soul structure, what our personality structure, and that way he can tell us and guide us how to serve God. So when the Alter Rebbe starts, he talks about three characters, three kind of personalities that we can find amongst the Jewish people, but not only. And he called them, these three characters, he called them, there's the righteous, the tzaddik, there's like we said, there's the intermediate, and there's also the wicked. There are these three characters. Each and every one of us should be one of these three. And it's more or less, like I said, it's summarizing all the Jewish souls. And originally, like I said, the book was written to guide us in how serving God. But Hasidut, which is the inner dimension of Torah, it teaches us that once I know who I am, once I know how my soul works, how my personality built, I can take the things that the Torah says and I can reflect it on all the other fields in my life, which means it can be about work, business, it can be about relationships, it's about educating kids. All these fields I can learn from the Torah. Why? Because the Torah, because the Torah, and especially the inner dimension of Torah, it explains us what is how do we work? What are the instructions to everything we're supposed to do in life. So therefore, like I said, we can learn from Hasidut and from Sefer HaTanya. We can learn the basic, all the knowledge about Jewish education, about Jewish psychology, which is Torah Nefesh, which what Rabbi Moshe is going to launch on Sunday, the school for Torah Nefesh. So all the foundations, we can find them in Hasidut, in the inner dimension of Torah. So if we'll get back to Sefer HaTanya, so like I said, we have these three characters. We have the tzaddik, the righteous. We have the intermediates that we can call him an in-betweener. It's someone that is in the middle of something, and we have the wicked. So what is every one of those? I should do it briefly just to get to the point. The righteous is pure-hearted. His heart is pure, and he has no bad in his heart, and therefore everything he does, is reflecting God's will. when he feels something, when he wants something, so because he's so pure, it means that this is the will of God. The wicked, from the other hand, all he ever wants, all he ever desire, it's his needs, his desires, is very occupied with everything related to this world, and like I said, because his heart is not pure, so everything he wants basically it comes from I forgot to mention. So Alter Rebbe, when he starts Sefer HaTanya, it's built on there's a sefer, there's a book of Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria Ashkenazi, which was the greatest Mekubal of all times. And he wrote a book, one of his books, called Sharei Kedusha. And in Sharei Kedusha, he explains a very interesting thing. He said, I know that I have a soul. Everybody knows that you have a soul. But he said, no, you don't have a soul. You have two of them. You have two souls. One of them called the divine soul, and the second called the animal soul. The animal soul is my basic need for living. It's the power of life. It's like, and this is why it's called an animal soul, because it's like an animal. Animal should eat. It should. It has all its needs, and so am I. I have all these needs, all these earthly needs. From the other hand, I have the divine soul. What is the divine soul? The divine soul always wants to go back to Hashem, where it came from. It always desires what Hashem desires. And the Arizal said that each and everybody has these two souls. And comes Alter Rebbe, and Alter Rebbe says, the Admor Zaken, he says that these two souls are always in conflict. It's a constant war, and all of us, we are dealing with, not all of us, some of us, we're dealing with this war on daily basis. So let's get back to these three characters. They're the righteous, the tzaddik. The tzaddik, like I said, his heart is pure. Why is that? Because his divine soul is dominant, and his animal soul is just sitting quietly and doing his bids, doing whatever he says. But it doesn't have its own desires, and it doesn't pulling him towards its direction. And like I said, there's the in-betweener, the third character, is just in between. One soul is pulling him towards itself, and the other soul pulling him to the other side. And Alter Rebbe, when he speaks about the three characters, so he said that basically, we can explain, there's a much longer explanation. So he said basically, 99% of the human beings, we are in-betweeners. We live between these two souls, which each one of them are pulling us towards another direction. So let's get back to this war. What is our goal in this war? Usually when I'm going out to war, I'm looking to defeat my enemy. But in that case, this is not how it works. We don't want to defeat the enemy. We don't want to defeat the animal soul. What do we want to do? We want to win it over. We want to use its power to do good deeds. And why is that? 'Cause like I said, there's something really powerful in the physical world. There's something really powerful in our basic need of living. And this power, it can come in a very unrectified form. And this is how it basically shows the animal soul. But if I'll take it and I'll use it for a good purpose, so I'm earning something that I didn't have with my divine soul. My divine soul, it's very calm. It always wants, like I said, it wants Hashem. It has its own course. And there's something missing there. The power of life is missing. And this power of life, it's when we win over the animal soul, we can get this power of life. There's a verse says, Rov tvuot bekoach shor. plenty of crops depends on the strength of the ox. I mean, there's this ox. The ox, it doesn't have a lot of brains. It doesn't understand exactly what he's doing. But if if I'm using it properly, it can do things that I can't do myself. I can pull all this weight. I can build all these great things. But with the power of this ox, I can do it. So this is this is our goal eventually, to win over the animal soul and take it and use it for good purposes. So all of this, it was some kind of introduction to our to what I wanted to say. There's an existential question that we can call it spontaneity versus routine and order. Yesterday we were at Shlomo's office, and he talked about inspiration, and he said that there's something with people that's always looking for inspiration, that at some point they're losing their inspiration, and they're always looking for a way to renew the inspiration. It doesn't work well all the time, because usually you're looking for the inspiration in the wrong places. But it's something that everyone always wants, to be inspired constantly. I want to be inspired. I don't want my life to be boring. I don't want my life to be gray and meaningless. I'm looking for inspiration. And being spontaneous, it seems like a very inspired form of life. And from the other hand, just being routinely man that does everything with order, it looks a little bit boring. But from the other hand, or the third hand here, so everybody knows that in order to build something, well, some of you are on your own businesses, all of you, I guess, you build something in life, and you know that to build something, I must have this routine. I must use routine in order to achieve something. So how do I maintain this inspiration, and still I can be able to build something? So to answer that, I'll get back to these three characters that Alter Rebbe described in Sefer HaTanya. And before that, we want to observe something that Alter Rebbe says, and to compare it to something that the Baal Shem Tov said. Baal Shem Tov is the founder of the Hasidic movement, and he was the Rebbe of Alter Rebbe. Alter Rebbe is a student of a Maggid of Mezrich, and the Maggid of Mezrich is a student of a Baal Shem Tov. And we want to take to see how Baal Shem Tov and how Alter Rebbe explains, how the two of them explain how to serve God, how to pray, how to daven, and from that we can learn about how to live, how to manage your life. Like we said, that from understanding the structure of the soul, we can learn and reflect it on other fields in life. So Baal Shem Tov said, basically there's a description in Kabbalah and Chassidut that the praying it's like a ladder. I'm going up, and I have some steps, and I'm taking step by step. This is how the prayer works. So Baal Shem Tov says, when you start with the first step, don't give all your efforts in the first step, because the first step on the way, it's never the most important one. You're still not achieving your goal. You're still not getting where you want to get. So he said, just start it slowly. Start it with a little effort. And the more you get, the more you progress on this ladder, you get to the next step. And the next step, then you should put more and more efforts until you get to the main goal of praying, which is be united with God. So there you should put all your efforts. You should start and do it slowly, step by step, with order, like we said. So this is how the Baal Shem Tov described the prayer of a Jewish man. So I'm coming or a woman, obviously. So this is what I'm doing. This is how the Baal Shem Tov describes it. And Alter Rebbe said something different. He's full aware of the ladder concept that we said, that prayer is built like a ladder. But he said something else. He said, when you start to daven, you just started, give all your effort, all your enthusiasm, and just do your best now. Seize the moment. This is what the Alter Rebbe says, which look very inspiring way of praying. Like the Baal Shem Tov said, just build it step by step. And Alter Rebbe said, just jump into your prayer and do whatever you can. Put all your efforts on whatever you're dealing with now in the prayer. Even the first step, you just walked out of your house to go somewhere. Do it with all the enthusiasm you can. And like I said, since the Alter Rebbe is a student of a Baal Shem Tov, this is weird. How can he say the opposite, the exact opposite of what his great Rebbe said? So this is where we get back to these three characters. Like I said, Alter Rebbe, he speaks about this character, this in-betweener that struggles all the time, and it tries to win this war and to win over this animal soul. And so Alter Rebbe speaks about this character. And somewhere someplace in the Sefer Atanya that Alter Rebbe says, he said that the Baal Shem Tov, when he spoke mainly to his students. And the Baal Shem Tov students, they weren't just common people. All of them, there were big tzaddikim. There was, if we spoke about the three characters, all of them were righteouses. And this is why a Baal Shem Tov speaks one way about serving God, about praying, and Alter Rebbe speaks differently. So what I can understand until now is that when a Baal Shem Tov speaks about someone righteous, so this righteous person, he should work with order. He should be a routinely man. He knows how to work, and he knows how to build it, and he should do it step by step. But us, the common people, the in-betweeners, what should we do? We should be more spontaneous. What does it mean to be spontaneous? I have something. I'm dealing with something now. If I'm praying, or if I'm studying, if I'm working, if I'm meeting someone, if I'm seeing anything, everything I'm coming in touch with, just seize the moment and give all your efforts. Be spontaneous. This is what Hashem brought you. This is what God brought you. So take advantage of that. So this is what Alter Rebbe said. So I can understand from what I said until now that the best way, at least for us, is being spontaneous. That's good. That sounds good. But there's a problem. Like I said, yesterday when we sat together, and Shlomo spoke about these people who lose their inspiration, and they start to look their inspiration in every place they can. And when they can't find it, so you start to think, maybe my inspiration will come from using this or doing that, and you're just getting lost in this quest for inspiration.
Like in permissibles or permissible items, or both?
It doesn't matter.
To interject what we were, yes. The inspiration was not just permissible, or people don't know where to look even. And because of that, we had this conversation that we don't know where to look. And then we pick the places to look by media, by wrong teachers. YouTube.
Yeah, you didn't describe it till the end like yesterday, but yes. He was gentle. He was being gentle. I just wanted to give an example. But before, you know what, there's a nice story, but it will wait for a sentence or two. So like I said, when I'm in a constant quest for inspiration, I can get lost. And why is that? Why am I getting lost? Like we said, it's the right way to live, according to Alter Rebbe. You should just seize the moment and give all your efforts in whatever whatever you find, whatever you meet. So why do I lose my inspiration? So if we'll get back to what the Alter Rebbe said, like I said, is not saying differently from a Baal Shem Tov. He's full aware that the prayer, it's a ladder. And when he speaks about seizing the moment and using all your enthusiasm wherever you hold in the prayer, he still refers to the prayer the way it is. There's a structure, like I said, the prayer, there's a structure, there's a ladder that we're taking step by step. But he didn't, the Alter Rebbe didn't refer to the structure, he refers to the soul of it. When a Baal Shem Tov speaks, so he says, he understands that there's a structure, and there's the soul of the structure. And the tzaddik, the righteous, he knows exactly how to match those two, how the structure can work with its inner soul, with its meaning. But the in-betweener, he doesn't know how to do it exactly. But what should he do? Like we said, you should put all your efforts wherever you are and whatever you do. But you still should stick to the structure. I just want to say a little story, and then we'll finish what I wanted to say. There was one student it wasn't a student of Alter Rebbe. He was a student, a follower, a Chassid of the second Rebbe of Chabad, Admor HaEmtzai, the middle Rebbe, and a follower of the third Rebbe of Chabad, Admor HaTzemach Tzedek. His name was Rabbi Hillel Miparich, Rabbi Hillel of Parich. And he was a very special Chassid, because he wasn't only a Chassid, it's called a Mashpia. It's like a teacher to other Chassidim, to other followers of the Rebbe. And there's one story that once one of the Chassidim came to Rabbi Hillel of Parich, and he told him, I have a question. So Rabbi Hillel of Parich told him, a question belongs to a Rebbe. You want to ask me a question about serving God? So I'm not the address is the Rebbe. It's true that the Rebbe lives far away. It's not, and WhatsApp still didn't exist, not even SMS. But he said, you should go to the Rebbe and ask him. He said, I can't go now. So he left. And the day after he got back, he said, it's a very important question. I must ask you. So he said, what's the question? He said, when I'm preparing myself to pray, to daven, so I'm really enthusiastic, and I feel really good, and I really feel a great connection with Hashem. And when I'm preparing myself to I'm learning something, I'm going to the mikveh, I'm doing something, preparation for the prayer. But when I start praying, it's not the same. It's very gray, all my praying. So what do I do? So Rabbi Hillel, he answered him again. He said, no, it's a question for a Rebbe. You can't ask me this question, these kind of questions. And he asked again, and he really begged him. He said, I can't go to the Rebbe, it's very far. Eventually Rabbi Hillel said, okay, I'll answer you. So what was the answer? He said, what do you care that you're praying before your prayer? What do you care? Eventually, you got there. You achieved the goal. The goal is to be one with Hashem, to be united with Hashem. That's the goal of the prayer. And you said that you feel it. You feel that you got there, but you didn't get there in the right step. It doesn't matter. Why does it matter? It doesn't matter to you, because you're an in-betweener. And when you're an in-betweener, it won't work like it says in the books. You just want to achieve it. And you did achieve it eventually. But what he didn't tell him, so you shouldn't pray. You just should do the preparation. No, you should pray. You should do everything. You should hold to the structure, because when you're staying in the path, the structure is the path. So sometimes you're getting enlightened. Sometimes you won't. But only when you stay in this path, only then, only when you're using this routine and order, you can still be spontaneous and get your enlightenment. So this is more or less the answer. In Chassidut, it's called lights of Tohu in vessels of Tikkun, rectify, in vessels of rectify. What does it mean? It said that there are big lights, and these big lights, I can't contain them all the time. But when I'm doing it right, when I'm creating the right vessel, sometimes I'll get this light, sometimes I won't. But the only way I can get this light is if I'm following the path, I'm following the structure, I'm following this routine. So every now and then, once in a while, I can this spontaneous approach will give me this enlightenment that I need. So
Chaos is the total? Put it in a vessel?
no, yeah, to put chaos in a vessel. But actually, it's a big other subject. We won't get there now. It was only introduction to Rabbi Moshe. Like I said, this is a little idea of what Alter Rebbe says, and is a big innovation. Okay, so thank you very much. And I'll give the stage.